the last adventure of the year, we travel all the way to Kent to look for 2 mega rare birds. I get a surprise life. Our last adventure of the year started off with a very long drive in the fog to Kent. We arrived just before sunset. Hey folks, we're in Kent.
Looking for Scopsal.
Looking for Scopsal. We've driven here. We've been driving all day. It's nearly dark and it's really foggy.
I want to go.
We've got to go. We've got to go try and find it. After bumping into a very friendly local who pointed us in the right direction, we soon found a large group of birders standing in a field in the fog. Apparently the previous evening the Scopsal we were looking for had showed really well, sat on a fence and then in an adjacent oak tree, and had been seen between 4:30 and 5:15. We were here with a little time to spare and watched the sun go down. I was a little concerned about getting footage of the bird if it did show, but as time wore on, I began to lose confidence in the bird showing at all. Kaylee, on the other hand, had a little more faith. And as it got really dark, this patience paid off. One of the other birders with thermal imaging gear managed to pick a likely bird out in the corner of the field. After briefly shining a spotlight on this bird, it was discovered that it was the Scopsal. After a couple of seconds though, it flew, but it was soon refound in the oak tree that it was seen the previous day. And although one of the other birders did shine a flashlight on it, it was really difficult to get footage. Regardless, I got some grainy footage and a couple of blurry photographs. This species is a pretty rare sight in the UK, with one being seen every couple of years and most only being heard. So getting views like this was amazing and we were over the moon.
We got it.
We did get it. It was dark and the footage isn't the best.
No.
But we got it after a very long drive here.
After a very long drive, traffic, an argument.
Yeah.
Me saying I'm never coming back to Kent again.
The whole 9 yards.
We got it.
But we're here and we've got our good lifer. Really nice.
It was amazing as well.
Lifer. And that's my 700th bird on my life list, so I'm happy.
It's amazing. I've got to say that was the most well organised Twitch I've ever been on.
Yeah, that was really good.
There
was a guy with a flashlight who just kind of put a flashlight on the bird, made sure nobody else was doing anything kind of unruly, showed people the bird for a few minutes and then went, right, that's enough now. And
it was really well organised.
It was excellent. So we're going to drive now to somewhere we're going to park overnight and really hope that the bird we're looking for tomorrow is going to be equally equally as confiding, which it hasn't been today apparently, so fingers crossed. See you in the morning. The following morning we woke up and headed to find our second mega rare bird. Good morning. After our success with the Scopsal, we had a nice kip and we're up this morning. Probably not as early as we should, but we're just down the road, about an hour down the road, looking for another mega that's apparently been a bit of a pain in the bum.
Not that we're greedy.
Not that we're greedy, no. There is there's a car park there.
That's really good.
We wouldn't have got the van in there, would we?
Not sure.
Anyway, we're going to go and look for an American Yellow Warbler. The path took us along a stream on one side and a large pool on the other. We soon bumped into some birders looking into some brambles. We asked what they were looking at. They said, just a firecrest. This quickly grabbed my attention as this is a bird I've never seen before, so it will be a lifer. And after following it, moving through the brambles, we finally got eyes on it. This species is a British breeder, but far from common, being very localised to the south and east. And although these birds disperse in winter, it's a species that up to now had evaded me. I need to be quiet, but firecrests do exist. Although it wasn't an easy bird to keep the camera on as it was quite mobile, we followed it for a short while. What I haven't mentioned up to now is this is one of the very few birds that Kaylee has seen and I haven't. So it's not often I can do this. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3. Ah, excellent. After this excitement, we walked along the path towards the group of other birders, passing a large piece of water on our left. There was plenty of life on the water, including large groups of tufted duck and a few swans. like this very tame one that was feeding right by the edge. When we finally got to the crowd, they were looking over the stream. On the other side there was a sewage treatment plant, and in between tall alder trees, where apparently in previous days the super rare American Yellow Warbler had showed. At this point it was about 9:30 in the morning and we started our vigil. The previous day the Warbler had showed very briefly at about 12:30, and then again reasonably well in the afternoon at about 2:20. If it followed this same pattern, we were in for quite a wait. Regardless, we stood in a crowd with the other birders and kept our eye out for any movement in the trees. And there was plenty. We would wait for a while, and then occasionally a few birds would show up in the tree, causing some excitement. Often it was small groups of overwintering chiff-chaff. Although these weren't our yellow warbler, they were nice to see, and I was surprised by the amount of them here, as their song is a quintessential sign of spring. These chiff-chaff weren't the only birds moving amongst the trees. We did spot quite a few blue tits, but no yellow warbler. By now it was afternoon, and we'd been stood there for a few hours. Not only that, we'd got really cold. Luckily there was some entertainment, partly in the shape of the very active chiff-chaffs that had now moved from the trees down into the low foliage by the stream. And secondly, with the lovely group of birders we were stood with. Everyone was really friendly and chatty, and we did bump into 2 or 3 of our subscribers, who were all wonderful to meet. We even had a photograph with a young lad who watches the channel. Excellent. Anyway, back to the yellow warbler, and it was becoming hopeless.
Are you cold? Very cold.
By now it was well after 2 and no sign at all, and a few of the birders were leaving. I thought I'd give it one last half an hour just in case. I did spot another firecrest moving around in some ivy, although it was very mobile and really difficult to get footage of. By this time we were absolutely freezing. We'd given it our all, but now had to give up and head back to the warmth of the van.
Hello folks, it's really cold and we've dipped.
Everybody's dipped though.
Everybody has dipped. We've been there since not long after 9 this morning, and it's now, right, what time is it?
20 to 3.
20 to 3. You okay?
Cold.
Cold. Yeah, it's absolutely, we're like ice blocks. So we had to call it on the yellow warbler, unfortunately. Although I did get a lifer. A really good lifer. A bird that Kaylee's seen before and I haven't. There's not many of them. And it was a firecrest. And I saw it a few times.
See, it does exist.
It does exist, yeah. So it wasn't a complete disaster.
We drove about an hour and a half and parked up for the night. The following morning we drove just round the corner to Rickmansworth Aquadrome Nature Reserve. Getting out the van in the car park, I spotted a bird almost straight away, the very colourful jay. Morning folks.
Morning.
We're at Rickmansworth Aquadrome on the outskirts of London. We stopped nearby last night to have a kip after our unfortunate
It hasn't been
dip.
seen this morning,
No.
so that makes me feel better.
Unfortunate dip on the yellow warbler, which again, as Katie says, it's not been seen today again. It might have disappeared.
And they didn't see the scops, are we?
They never saw the scops that we had the night before, so I'm over the moon that we got that, yeah. We've come here to have a bit of a look round as we're close, and yesterday someone had a ferruginous duck here, which is a bird we've only seen once this year, and badly. So we're hoping to hopefully see one reasonably well today, although looking at the size of the place I'm not quite sure. As we walked around, the fog came in again. There are 3 pieces of water here, so we started to explore, heading first to where the ferruginous duck was seen the previous day. When we arrived here, there were plenty of ducks, mainly the tufted duck, like this group of male birds diving. A little bit further round we did spot this wonderful great crested grebe, who initially was preening, and then swam away from us and then back towards us with its head low to the water. We even got a brief view of a Chetty's warbler, a species that's more often heard than seen. So we've been to have a look where the ferruginous duck was yesterday. There is a particularly dark duck in the fog at the other side.
Robin, it hasn't stopped being foggy.
It's been foggy all the time we've been down here.
I think it could be that.
It could be that. It could, maybe it is. It could be a particularly dark female tufted duck. I'll have to have a look later on. We're going to have a look around the reserve while we're here before we go home. Stick with us. We carried on down the path alongside the largest lake, the only one of the three where the ferruginous duck is almost never seen. In the vegetation on the side of the lake there was a few birds, including a robin and a lovely redwing which flew in front of us and landed on a branch, partially obscured by some other vegetation. We carried on towards the third lake. This lake was very busy with birds, with plenty of water birds including coot, yet more tufted duck, and quite a few potchard, with some quite close, often diving under the water feeding. We bumped into a few other birders, one of which pointed out a really unusual goose to us. He said this one is thought to be a Canada goose grey-lag goose hybrid, and you can certainly see both species characteristics on this individual. What do you guys think? A little further down the path we did get another nice surprise in the shape of a red-crested potchard. This individual was sat on a log preening for a while, and a species we've only seen once this year, and last time it was a lifer for Kaylee. After watching this lovely duck for a while, we started to head back towards the van, spotting en route this cormorant fishing. And as we got back towards the car park, we certainly heard and finally saw this bird. One that can be a little controversial, the now naturalised ring-necked parakeet. This pair were amongst a group of birds that were flying around the car park making a right racket. And sadly, our last bird of 2024.
Hey folks, we don't think we found the ferruginous duck. We bumped into a couple of other twitchers who don't think the bird we saw was the ferruginous duck, and I kind of agree with them. I think it was a very dark female tufty. Regardless, it's been a nice walk around the park. We did see a red-crested potchard, which was kind of cool. We've only seen one of them this year. It was an interesting walk. We had a very friendly wood pigeon when we got back to the van. It's still there outside the van, waiting for scraps. That is the end of this video and the end of our birding for 2024.
Let's go and do it again, shall we?
Shall we do it again? Shall we do it once more? Yeah, it's been a pretty good weekend. We got the Scops owl and we got Firecrest, which I didn't think existed before this weekend.
We didn't make 270.
We didn't make 270. We ended on 266, which I'm pretty proud of, nevertheless.
We would have done if you hadn't got Paulie.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Holding it against him.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Please like.
Please subscribe.
And please press the notification bell. See you
in 2025.
See you then.